Pittsburgh Steelers fans, welcome to the after party. I'm Jeff Hartman, editor of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. Joining me as always, Bryan Anthony Davis, Deputy Dave Schofield, and we're here to talk about some Steelers, but also a lot of other crazy stuff. So settle in, sit back, relax, and let's enjoy this after party as we get this thing kicked off with, I want to give this some props. We have some new writers on the site. Volunteer guys reached out, wanted to be a part of the show. One of them is Carl Ludwig. He wrote an article that was published today, and that was who makes the Steelers all-decade team on the offense. Now, this obviously stemmed from the Pro Football Hall of Fame release their all-decade teams recently, and two members of the Pittsburgh Steelers, one Marquise Pouncey and one Antonio Brown, made the team. And he went through and kind of listed everything. I wanted to go through his list, and I wanted to say, do you guys agree, disagree? Would you add someone else in there? You all ready?
Oh, yeah.
Let's do this. All right. I don't think there's any discussion of quarterback. The last decade has been Ben Roethlisberger. We're going to move on. Running backs. This is where it got dicey. I think Le'Veon Bell is a slam dunk, but he kept two. Who else makes the team, in your opinion, Bryan, as the running back? Do you want to know who he had?
Yeah, there's not many to pick from, but unless you go Jonathan Dwyer.
He had Mendenhall as his second. Do you agree, Dave? Disagree? Anything? Anyone different?
So it was
Isaac Redman.
No, I mean, honestly, let's see, Mendenhall. I mean,
James Conner is pretty tough.
How many seasons was he past 2010?
Who?
Mendenhall was not many. About 2 or 3.
Yeah, I mean, how many years did he play after that famous fumble in the Super Bowl? See, because you got to remember that would be the first year that that stuff would count. I didn't think he was around that much longer.
Kyle Smith said D'Angelo Williams.
Actually,
that's actually not a bad choice.
I don't think
because there's really no other option.
I'm going to vote with Kyle. I'm going to go with D'Angelo Williams. I think he was more productive, and
this was like the Le'Veon Bell decade, pretty much. I mean, he dominated everything. He dominated touches and carries, and so there's really not much else. And Ezra says Mendenhall only played 3 years in the decade. It's tough to disagree. We're struggling to find someone, I guess, is what we're getting to. So, you could say James Conner maybe had a Pro Bowl year. He brings up Mendenhall in the article. All right, let's go to fullback. He gave it to Roosevelt Nix. Any disagreements there?
Kerry Davis wasn't around. So yeah, I'll go Rosie.
Yeah.
Okay. Wide receiver. I think we know Antonio Brown. He's going to get in. Who else are you putting in there? The all-decade wide receiving core.
Mike Wallace.
Okay. You get 3.
I'll let Dave go. I've got a guy in mind, but
Antonio Brown, Mike Wallace. I mean, for some reason, I'm still getting stuck into players that are before 2010. So that's what I have to think of. Would it be Martavis Bryant?
I'm going to go Juju.
I mean, he has, what's that?
I go Juju.
I mean, Juju had 2 good years in there. How many good years do you have Martavis Bryant?
Ezra says Ryan Switzer. A lot of people are saying
Dante Moncrief.
I see your Dante Moncrief, and I raise you a Sammy Coates.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, I saw both of his touchdowns. I was there for that game.
A lot of people are saying Emmanuel Sanders. I think that a lot of times people get the Denver Broncos and then eventually the 49ers Emmanuel Sanders mixed up with the Pittsburgh Emmanuel Sanders.
Yep.
In Pittsburgh, he didn't do a whole lot. He dropped a lot of passes, was very inconsistent, was injured a lot. Just so we understand, Carl in his article said it was he had Antonio Brown, Mike Wallace, and Juju Smith-Schuster. But Martavis Bryant could have his name up there, I think. He was dynamic. Don't you guys think? I mean, yeah. I don't know.
I think that's those are some pretty good picks. What would have been if Martavis could have just stayed off the grass?
Yep. You're right.
And stayed on the turf. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go to the next position. Tight end. You get one. We know what that is. That's Heath Miller. No one's going to second guess that one. Left tackle. Who y'all going with left tackle in the last decade? You have some options.
Well, I mean, you have Big Al.
You do have Big Al.
Kelvin Beachum for a little bit.
Kelvin Beachum.
And before that,
Big Al was his pick for left tackle, just so we know.
I'm probably going Big Al.
Yeah.
But Kelvin Beachum is probably number 2 there.
He was good. You just couldn't afford him anymore after everything.
I think Villanueva is the answer. I think Villanueva is the guy. I think that he's been there and he's played well and he's had a Pro Bowl under his belt. So I think that's definitely the pick. Let's go left guard, Ramon Foster. I don't think there's any disagreeing there.
Who else could it be?
Yeah, exactly. Same with Marquise Pouncey at center and David DeCastro at right guard, but right tackle, it's a different story. Who would you play at right tackle?
You might think I'm going with Marcus Gilbert. I mean, when he played, he should have been a Pro Bowler when he played with the Steelers. I mean, I was there to watch him completely shut down Khalil Mack when he was playing with the Raiders, where he didn't even register. He didn't even register a statistic.
Yeah,
in that game. That was my second ever article for Behind the Steel Curtain. Was when Mack got traded, and I said, and the Steelers didn't have to play him. I'm like, no big deal. You know, Gilbert had it. He was fine. And then he got hurt, and then he was replaceable. But that's who I would say.
I mean, if you want to joke around with Flozo Adams, but, Marcus Gilbert was the guy, really. He really was. But I would like to go back and I would like to issue a complaint to Jeff Hartman. You didn't give me a chance at center because it was that 1 year that Pouncey was out for the entire
Cody
season.
Wallace.
And no, it wasn't Cody Wallace.
The proctologist, Cody Wallace.
No, he was out 2 different seasons.
Yeah, okay.
2 years.
Yeah. No, he's been around, but that 1 year I'm talking about, there was this one guy that was magical. Number 61, Fernando Velasco. And I'm not kidding. That guy was pretty darn good.
He played pretty good.
But of course, it's Pouncey. But I have to throw in a plug for Fernando. And somewhere he's like, "Thank you, Bad. Thanks for remembering me." Because
I'll be honest with you, both those guys played all right whenever Pouncey missed those seasons. Because one was one season, one was the other.
The proctologist, Cody Wallace.
Now, with that being said, Fernando Velasco has now come out and hang out with me when this whole Corona thing's over. He's got to hang out with me for a week for plug-in.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, that could be good or bad. Depends. We'll see. Just you brought up. I want to bring this question up real quick before we go off the rails here. This is a Steeler related question, and you brought up a name, Brian, that jogged my memory. So I was watching I was on Twitter today, and I saw that the Steelers they do highlights in the offseason, and it was the play where Joe Hayden jumped the route and picked off Kyler Murray in Arizona. And I watched, and I was like, what a play. Like, that was a great play because Kyler Murray, you can't fault him. As a rookie, you're thinking that's going to be there. Hayden drops back when he's not supposed to, really kind of reads the eyes of the quarterback, picks it off. I would love for the Steelers to win one for Joe Hayden. You know, there's always those players that you're like, gosh, just win a Super Bowl for Joe Hayden. The guy's been through hell. He's been to Cleveland for all those years.
Yeah, gosh, Cleveland.
But Flozo Adams was another guy that he never made the Super Bowl, and he made it, and then they obviously lost that game against Green Bay. But I always was like, man, that would be great to win one for Flozo. And that's something that Mike Tomlin even said when they picked him up, because people forget that he was only there for, I think, 1 year, right, guys? And then
maybe like 6 games. I mean,
I was going to say, it wasn't even the whole year, was it?
Yeah, they brought him late.
The hotel, Flozo, the hotel. So is there anyone in your, it can be current, past, whatever, maybe they didn't win one for him. Is there ever a player that's like, gosh, I would love for them to win a Super Bowl for that guy?
Ramon was one of them.
That was my answer. I'm like, man, I really wish, I would love for nothing more for them. I mean, is there any way, if they're having a fantastic season and there's just something, bring him on as an, I want him to get a ring somehow. Just sign him and put him on IR or something. But you just don't have the cap space. But because that would be, he's one of those guys I really wish would have got a ring.
Good call, Ezra and Dermani.
Dermani Dawson deserved it. Definitely. Just Me says Shazier. Would have been another one, absolutely. But I get you when guys like Joe Hayden leave the cesspool that is Cleveland and the Cleveland Browns and come to the Steelers. One of the reasons they come to the Steelers is because they want to win a Super Bowl. And they want to play in big games.
Well, that's the next step. First, they want to be able to be playing in relevant games in December. So, and then it's beyond. Then it goes beyond that and gets the championship. Because Joe Hayden never played a relevant game in December when he was with Cleveland, did he?
No, but every year he's been in relevant games in December, and he played in. He was on the 17 team that lost to Jacksonville. So I think that was his first playoff game ever, too. Gosh, come on, guys. You got to win one for Joe.
You know what? And I love the fact that he was a little bit salty that he didn't make the decade team and he came out. I mean, I still think he was pretty cool about it. But hey, he's like, what about me? I wanted to be on that team. And I love it. I love the man's fire. I love everything about that guy.
I thought Cam should have been on it. Hayward.
Well, he's such a tough nut to crack based on the fact that he plays defensive end, and we all know about the Pro Bowl voting and All Pro. And
that's why they changed him to a defensive tackle 2 years ago. Yeah, just because of the designation makes it easier because that's really what he is. So, I mean, that's what hurt him. I mentioned that in the article that I did for it. Is that was the biggest thing that hurt him early in his career was he didn't get more accolades because he was going up against the likes of the J.J. Watt. That's the position they were comparing him with. A 3-4 defensive end and a 4-3 defensive end are nowhere close to each other.
Absolutely.
So,
you know what? John L. Williams, Scott Hudson brings him up. That was one of my favorite Steelers. He wasn't here long, but one of my favorite Steelers from that 90s team is John L. He was a very great fullback for them in that limited time that he was here, along with another guy that's not a fullback, but a running back. Eric Pegram was another guy that I just really enjoyed. And those are names that you kind of forget about that came from other teams.
Absolutely.
So, Jeff, did you realize, because this is something I brought up in the article, that this most recent all-decade team was the first time since the 1950s that the Steelers did not have a defensive player on the team?
Wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I guess I'm trying to think about who would have made it. Like you said, Cam.
Cam and Hayden were probably the two obvious ones. But and the problem is you had good defenders that were being faded, that were finishing up their career early in the 2010s, and then more great defenders they have now that have only been around, like TJ, who's only been here for 3 years. So there's
definitely a lull. There's definitely a lull there.
When did Troy leave? 14?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he was on the all-decade team for the 2000s.
Yeah. So was James Harrison.
Yeah.
Harrison was on that team too, wasn't he?
Yes.
There was only two.
You think James Harrison gets into the Hall of Fame?
No.
Really?
There's too many guys with so many more sacks at his position.
One of the most iconic plays in Super Bowl history. I'd say the greatest Super Bowl play of all time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just don't think he gets in.
Okay. All right, guys. What do y'all have for me? Brian, do you want to go into your bracket now? Or do you want to hold that off and wait?
Let me tell you something, me and Jeff. We were talking about wrestling last week, right? And March Madness is ended up, and we were talking about wrestling theme songs and entrance themes. And so Dave is the one who put me up to this and said, we need to have a bracket. And I was like, I'm game. I'll go ahead and do the bracket. So I'll try to be brief on this, but it is a 32-team field.
Gosh, 32.
We did 32 last week.
Can I interrupt for just a second? Because I just don't want people to then all of a sudden be like, so I want to correct this. No, it was not James Harrison that was the other player on that 2000s all-decade team. It was Alan Faneca.
Okay. All right.
So he was not on James Harrison was not on an all-decade team.
Gotcha. All right. Go ahead, Brian.
All righty. So we're going to go ahead and let Jeff kick it off first. And everybody's going to have a chance to vote on these. I'm trying to, I kept out modern, like new guys.
Good.
But there's some that are still, that are probably getting old now. That I did put in there that Jeff might not be as familiar with, but I mean, they're kind of big names, so I threw them in, so just bear with me. But let's start off with some really iconic guys from the 80s. Jeff, you've got the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
Everybody's
money. Against he's cool, he's cocky, he's bad, the Honky Tonk Man.
Oh, I hated the Honky Tonk Man. I'll take DiBiase's music and DiBiase any day of the week. Couldn't stand the Honky Tonk Man. Loved it when he got his guitar.
Supposed to like the Honky Tonk.
I know, but I fell right into that trap. So definitely Ted DiBiase.
All right, these guys may be a little more modern for you, but I'm not sure. Mick Foley against Edge.
I know Mick Foley. I remember Edge. I didn't like Edge. So I'll go Mick Foley.
Edge just made his comeback after 9 years off. So you're going to go with Mick Foley.
Yes.
We've got some Americans here.
Sorry, that was that was Edge's music.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You think you know me. Let's talk about some American guys here. I am a real American. We've got Hulk Hogan against the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Are you serious? I was a Hulkamaniac as a kid, man. I still have the workout set in my house. I had a poster of him in my room. Hulk Hogan.
All right. Son-in-law, father-in-law, Triple H, the Game, against Vince McMahon.
No chance. Yeah, that's what that was Vince. Yes.
Yep.
It's Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon's by far.
And Triple H it's all about the game and how you play it.
For those of you just joining us, like Lance Williams, we're talking about the theme music, not the wrestler themselves, the theme music.
Yeah. I just love no chance.
Now, I accidentally skipped one, and I'm going to go back to it, but this one should have been before this one. I know where I'm just going to write it in. I know you're going to go. So Chris Jericho.
Yeah, I can't remember his music.
Y2J. Break the walls down. Against You Smell What the Rock is Cooking.
Oh, that's easy. That's The Rock.
I know. I already wrote it in. And I'm writing this one in too. Razor Ramon and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
How do you have The Rock and Stone Cold on the same side of the bracket? Like those should be like polar opposites. Anyways, it's going to be Stone Cold, even though oozing with machismo.
The bad guy.
Flicking the
John Cena. Against Oh, you didn't know?
Better call somebody.
The New Age Outlaws.
Always love the New Age Outlaws. I'm taking those guys.
Those guys were great.
Yep.
It was all about the intro, man. Like right when it hit, you had to know who it was. And you knew it when you heard, oh, you didn't know? And then that was great. That was good.
That's how Dave and I are Tony and I will start the show since we're doing the two together. But maybe Dave and I, next time we do a show, we go, oh, you didn't know? Bam,
I say that all the time. Even if my wife talks about it. Oh, you didn't know? That's all. And that's all further I go. I don't have to go anymore.
You say to your wife, you're asking her to call somebody?
She knows what I'm talking about. I don't have to finish it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna stick with those guys. I don't know how they ended up on the same side, but D-Generation X.
Okay.
Against Goldberg.
Oh, Goldberg.
Goldberg's theme was pretty good.
It was pretty good, but still it wasn't DX. It wasn't DX.
So you're going to go with DX?
Yes, I am.
All right, that concludes your side. Mr. Schofield.
Sorry.
You got to put it close to the mic if you're going to play the music. It just sounds like you're ringtone.
Well, no, I don't want us to. I don't want us to not be able to.
I don't know. Is that stuff copyrighted? I don't know. Well,
I don't know.
Whatever.
Jimmy Hart wrote half of that stuff.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. He and a guy named Jim Johnston, but Jimmy Hart actually had a top 5 song with a group called the I think it was the McCoys. It's called "Keep on Dancing," and he was on that. He was a big singer songwriter, and he did it for WCW and the WWE. Dave, you got a big one right off the bat.
Okay.
Ultimate Warrior against Macho Man Randy Savage. Pomp and Circumstance.
I'm going with the Macho Man.
Macho Madness it is.
Elizabeth, get down that aisle. All right.
He was so jealous of her, man. I'm surprised that he did not have her locked up in the house at one time. He was so paranoid of anybody going near her. I was reading some stuff about him the other day. Just what a character. Shane McMahon. Now, I don't know if you know Shane McMahon's.
I'm trying to think about what his.
Here comes the money.
Oh, okay. I remember that.
But up against Mr. WrestleMania. I'm a sexy boy.
Oh,
not
man.
your boy toy.
HBK.
So, Heartbreak Kid. And that song was written by the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels himself, Michael Hickenbottom. It was also written by Jim Johnston and one more person, Jimmy Hart. Wrote that song.
We'll go with HBK.
We're going with HBK.
Yeah.
It's the big show. It's a big bad show tonight. Paul White, the Big Show, who has a new show on he's a show on
Netflix say the songs, Brian.
Called The Big Show. The Big Show. Against
this is gonna be
The Undertaker.
You've got to say The Undertaker. I mean, it's just hold on. It's not the beginning of it, it's just the sample. But yes.
Mr. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Against
I'm trying to remember this.
His was really good. If you might not remember it, so I'm just going to write down Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Oh, of course, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Now, for extra points, could you name that song?
I just said it, didn't I?
It's 2000. It's got a real name.
Space Odyssey.
Yeah, but it's Ice Rock Zoo Cross Stars.
Oh, yeah.
It's Austrian, I believe, or something like that. Voodoo Child, Hollywood Hulk Hogan against the Four Horsemen theme.
You don't even have to read anything else.
Yeah,
you know that Voodoo Child is one of my most favorite entrances.
It was that era. The entrance music got different. It was different. It wasn't the same. It was better. Go ahead.
Here is one of Jeff's favorites, Bret the Hitman Hart, which was a pretty cool instrumental against Kurt Angle.
I was there for Kurt Angle's first ever match, live and in person in Detroit for Survivor Series in 1999. But I'm going to go with Bret the Hitman Hart.
His music was so great they added the "You Suck" to it, and he loved it. Yes, Ronan, we are dorks, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Hey, Job Man's not just going after lacrosse anymore, too. Here's a sleeper. Roddy Piper, and if you don't remember, it's just the bagpipes, which when he came out with the bagpipes was awesome. But here's a great one. Booker T / Harlem Heat.
Yeah, I remember.
And he do the spin.
That was pretty good, but it's kind of. I'm going with Roddy Piper's though. I really am, just because it brings back more memories.
Now, I know you were a big fan, Dave, of the Stink Face and Rikishi, along with Too Cool.
So, I love the Too Cool theme music.
You love the Too Cool, but is it better than
Too Cool theme music? I love it.
Is it better than NWO? Oh,
that was so good.
Oh my goodness. You don't understand. The Too Cool theme music is some of my favorites. But
gotta make a choice.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go with the NWO. Although I love the Too Cool theme music. That was my
Too Cool was a lower seed. It just ended up that way. All right,
everybody's got a price.
Is that everybody? Oh man, you left out so many. So I had an album. Actually, it was a friend of mine, and he had the album, and we listened to it all the time. It was what was it? It was WWF the Music, Volume 3 from 1998, and that's what I've been playing the samples from. And there's some great songs on there that did not get included. Like you didn't have Kane. That was a really good one.
I could have had Kane, yeah.
Hello, ladies.
Yeah, I
Val Venus.
Here's the thing. To me, an intro is all about like shock and awe. So when you heard the glass break, when you heard if you smell, like you knew it right away, or if the lights went out, you knew what was going on. And so that's like, I don't know, like some of the older ones, I couldn't tell you what Kane's music sounds like. The lights went off and everyone freaked out because they were excited to see what was going to happen. And then the four corners of the ring lit up in flames. Like, I don't know what his music was. That's like, if you said, what's the Undertaker's? I don't know, bells. That's what I thought it would be, because no one remembers that stuff. So go ahead, Brian. Let's finish this thing off.
All right. Macho Man and HBK, Jeff.
Oh, I'm going to his side now?
Yeah.
HBK.
That's how we do it, right, Dave?
HBK.
Yeah, that was a suggestion for. I got that as an email from I can't remember who that said, "Hey, next time you guys do brackets, switch people in the second round."
HBK was one of my favorites.
Well, I think you just poo-pooed this next one, so I'm going to write it in already. Undertaker and Ric Flair.
Oh, well, yeah, Ric Flair, man.
Voodoo Child and Bret Hart.
Voodoo Child still.
Hollywood. Yeah. Voodoo Child's doing well. And the NWO.
What's that?
NWO and Roddy Piper.
NWO.
Okay. All right,
you
David.
Picked well. You did well on my side there, Jeff. That you picked the right one.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to
DiBiase and Foley.
I'm going to go DiBiase.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really. You knew what was going to happen when you heard that.
Yeah.
Everybody has a price. He came to our area a couple of years ago. I took my son. Nicest man in the world. Just a sweet guy. He's just an awesome guy.
Okay.
Hulk Hogan, Real American, against The Rock. So we're going to WrestleMania 18 main event.
Oh my goodness! How do you get these guys matched up in the second round?
It's actually an easy choice.
I don't think it is. Those might be my two favorites.
So you got to pick one.
I'm going with Hulk Hogan.
Oh, well, wow. I would have gone the other way.
I still like The Rock more as a wrestler, but I mean, Real American. I mean, come on.
It's all about the shock and awe.
Vinnie Mac and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Those themes.
Stone Cold, glass breaking. Dun 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 dun.
Let the man think, Jeff.
He answered it.
Did he say Stone Cold?
Yeah. He said Stone Cold.
New Age Outlaws and D-Generation X.
Oh. Personally, I'm going with New Age Outlaws.
Oh, upset.
Oh, you didn't know?
Yeah, I mean, that's all you have to say. I mean,
all right. So we're going to go back to the other side now. Actually, I guess we stay on this side, and it's with Jeff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jeff, you get DiBiase and Hogan. Stone Cold and the New Age Outlaws.
Stone Cold.
Ah, wow. They went down. Dave, HBK and Ric Flair.
Ric Flair.
Voodoo Child and the NWO.
Voodoo Child.
Wow.
Okay.
Would have you done that too, Jeff?
That would have been a tough one, but I probably would have gone Voodoo Child. Hollywood Hulk Hogan was a different beast.
Yeah. All right. So we've got a final four. And I guess
tune in next week to see what we choose. No,
so here we go. Jeff, did you just pick Voodoo Child?
It should be Jeff choosing between
I should be on the Voodoo
Ric Flair
Child
and Voodoo Child.
Okay, Ric Flair and Voodoo Child.
Voodoo Child.
Okay, Voodoo Child is in the finals against Stone Cold and Hulk Hogan. Dave.
Jeff's not gonna like it. What's that?
Oh, he's gonna take Hulk Hogan again.
He's taking Hogan. Yeah.
No, well, if not, it's going to be Hogan versus Hogan in the finals.
Would you be shocked? I mean,
no, because I've asked that question for you guys in an either or thing. That was the two that I had it narrowed down to. But just because I know Jeff would want it more than anything, I'll go with Stone.
That's a great finale, though. Mm-hmm. This is a tough bracket because there's lots of good stuff. Stone Cold and Hulk Hogan, Voodoo Child.
I'll go first. Nothing, if you were there live or even watching in your living room, nothing got you more amped than hearing the glass break. And so I'm going to go with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he was also probably one of my favorite wrestlers ever. So it was, Stone Cold.
Deputy Dave.
I was not a Stone Cold fan. I would have picked Hulk Hogan in the last round, but I know Jeff would have killed me.
Who cares?
From the very beginning, out of everything that you said, my number one would have been Voodoo Child.
And so there we have it, folks.
Tiebreaker.
Now I would have messed that entire thing up.
Well, I kind of messed it up when I didn't pick The Rock. So
really interesting, and there was a name for it, and
you've got to
here's
pick the
name
winner,
of the
Brian.
song. What's that?
You've got to pick.
Oh, do I pick the winner?
Because we were split.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, I knew that's what you're going to pick too.
Let me say something here. Jovman is cutting on wrestling. Okay, and first and foremost, Jovman, you and I have our beef anyways about the sport of lacrosse. Second thing, it is a soap opera. Anyone that is being honest with themselves knows it's fake. Knows it's all there for just the drama of it. It is a soap opera. You want to see action, even if it's not real. Like for the other day, I turned on an old WrestleMania that was on ESPN. It was an undercard match. My wife was watching it we watched for 5 minutes. And she's like, I don't understand what's going on. And I was like, honestly, it doesn't matter. It's just how it ends. It's just how it ends. And there's so much drama involved leading up to and after the match. And I think Shane McMahon was fighting, and it was Triple H was in the ring, and so Stephanie McMahon was distracting the everyone in the ring and all this stuff. And I was like, this is just part of it. It's just it's honestly it's entertainment, and that's why they changed it to World Wrestling Entertainment. And I said I loved it when I was in high school. I haven't watched since that era of Stone Cold and The Rock left. I loved it. And so, Jovman, I like Days of Our Lives. Sure, I'll watch Days of Our Lives.
Yeah, I would watch it.
Who cares?
I used to watch it all the time.
It's entertaining, Jovman.
When it comes to wrestling, I don't watch anymore, and there was a reason behind that. To me, it got to a point that no one could ever just wrestle anyone and just beat them. It got to a point at one that it was something had to interfere. There was always no one ever really won or anything. It just hit a stretch there for a while that just got frustrating for me. And I was even watching a pay-per-view with friends, and no one was actually watching the pay-per-view. I realized I'm like, I think I might be done with it. But he said it doesn't appreciate the tone.
I'm bringing that
up. But my high school. My 12th grade English teacher, who why we are learning Shakespeare, said he said, you want to know the closest thing to Shakespearean acting these days? Forget going to movies or anything else. Watch professional wrestling. Those guys are talented. It's not about the voice. Even when they come out and talk, that's one thing. He's like, but the things they can do physically and still go out and then do it a week later by not actually hurting each other in that way, he says, it's the most amazing acting you'll ever see. And now when you think of it that way, you can really appreciate it more.
Yeah.
Now that leads to a question I was going to ask both you and you and Jeff, because you're athletes. Where do you put these guys on the athlete scale? You take the scripting out of it. How athletic do you have to be able to do that job?
Well, let's be honest. You take the scripting out. For instance, I'll never forget when Mankind, Mick Foley, got chokeslammed through the top of a Hell in a Cell match.
Pittsburgh.
And landed on thumbtacks and a bunch of other stuff. You don't fake that. He stood up and had thumbtacks in his back. Okay. I'm not saying that it's, oh my gosh, let's rush him to the hospital. He could have gone to the hospital, but I'll tell you what, like, those guys are tough. You know, they are tough. A lot of it is fake, but you talk to any wrestler, like the chest slaps, those are real. Sometimes they do connect on a punch or two. Athleticism, I don't know. Like, to me, being an athlete is definitely a tough debate, because not everyone could do what the wrestlers do, yet not everyone could do what an NFL player does either. You know, now there are the few like The Rock who did both, who was a football player at Miami, but went into wrestling. Obviously, Kurt Angle was an Olympic wrestler and then turns into pro wrestler. Goldberg. You have Brock Lesnar was a wrestler and then mixed martial arts. They're definitely athletes. They're definitely athletes, but I don't know where they fall on the hierarchy.
It's different depending on every sport. It takes a different type of person to be able to do professional wrestling than play football or play basketball or those other things. I mean, think about it. Look at golf. I mean, the guys that are out there professional wrestling, you know, not that golfers don't have to be in shape. I mean, not all of them are, but a lot of them, part of what makes them so good is that they stay in shape, right, Jeff?
Yes.
I'm making sure I'm not saying anything crazy about your precious golf. But I love golf. You know, I don't know how many professional wrestlers could golf. I don't know how many golfers could professional wrestle.
You're right.
So it's just different athleticism. It's different skills.
Let me just say real quick, Brian, before you say this, Jesse George summed up my adolescence in one message. I wrestled on a trampoline like a champ. That was me.
So who were the last two Steelers to wrestle in pay-per-views?
Pay-per-views? I don't know.
Kevin Green.
Okay.
And D'Angelo Williams.
Oh, I forgot about D. Will. That wasn't WWE, though.
That was TNA.
Okay, yeah.
But that was at the same time when Angle was still there, and Sting was still there. Was some big names there. So that's all I've got on the bracket. The winner was "Won't Do What You Tell Me," the official name for the Stone Cold Steve Austin theme. Won't do what you tell me.
There you go. I guess what, am I up for a bracket next week? I'll tell you what, it won't be a long one. It'll be eight things, whatever that is.
Now, you know what, Jeff? You could probably do 64 and get through it faster than Brian, because Brian has a story with every song he brings up.
I paint a picture, Dave.
I'm
a total package.
We're just glad your microphone's plugged in. That's all.
Yeah, that was I was doing.
I'm sorry, Brian. I just had to bust on you with that.
No, you know what? Sometimes I'm not known for my brevity, and I know that. But sometimes I'm like the Bob Ross of BTSC. I paint that entire picture.
That's a happy little tree. Happy little tree. All right, Dave, what do you have for us tonight?
Really? I was just waiting for Brian's bracket. I figured that was going to take up the whole show, and I didn't realize it was going to take up even more than that. I thought that was it. I mean, if you want me to try to bring up something,
write a bracket in 2 seconds.
Go.
Write a bracket in 2 seconds. So,
or you can bring out a playlist again.
I'll bring out a playlist. So,
y'all listen to any new music? Any new music out there?
Any new music?
Yeah,
new music. I don't listen to new music. Although
new music isn't bad.
No, it's fine. This got me thinking. I actually had to go out and do a pickup order at the store this afternoon, because when you want to get stuff for your kids for Easter, and you don't want to go shop, you order it. And some things they said, oh, you got to pick it up at the store. So I went out to get it. And the radio was on and a song came on. And I'm like, because of a movie, this song will never be the same to me again. Yeah. Anyone, you guys ever have that? Where because of it was either on a TV show.
What was the song?
In a movie.
What was the song?
I really want to know what it was.
I'm
going to tell you what it is. It's completely random.
Let me guess. The Dawson's Creek theme song.
No, absolutely not.
I'm going to write it down.
You ready?
I'm going to write it down before you say it because I know what you're going to say.
With the song, I bet you don't. I bet you don't because it's from a movie. It's actually from 2 movies.
Okay, then I'm probably wrong.
You're probably wrong. Why? What was it? I want to see it.
Hip to be square.
Back to the Future.
That's a good one, but no, that wasn't it. You know what the song
American
came on?
Psycho completely changed that.
It was UB40 version of "Baby I Love Your Way."
What movie is that from?
That is from Jumanji. Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah, it was.
I've never seen that.
Jumanji, the next level. Oh, Jeff, those movies are hilarious.
They're hilarious. Fantastic. The new Jumanji's great stuff.
Yeah, so
better than the original.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I love the original.
Yeah.
You love The Rock. There you go.
I mean,
Jack Black is great. Kevin Hart is
great.
great.
The first of the newer ones, when Jack Black is playing a teenage girl, where it's a teenage girl that's it's hilarious.
Don't ruin it. I think it's on our DVR. I think it's on our DVR.
You need to watch it.
Both of them are great.
I've got the next one on DVD when I can actually leave the house, or sorry, Blu-ray. I could even let you watch the second one, which some people say was as good. I went with lower expectations. I liked it just as much as the first one.
Hey, when you throw in the Dannys to the mix, Danny DeVito and Danny Glover,
my goodness.
Fantastic.
When the Rock as Danny DeVito, hilarious. But I tell you what, Kevin Hart as Danny Glover, he's like, did I die and come back as a small, muscular Boy Scout? I mean, he nailed it. It was fantastic. But yeah, because of both those movies, anytime I hear that song, Baby, I Love Your Way, UB40, I can't help but think of that movie.
There you go. Now, I have a question for you guys. You're all dads. This will be the last
Steeler
question.
Fan 74, you are correct.
What is that? We'll end on this one. How do you all handle Easter in your house? You all do gifts. I mean, most do baskets. I grew up in a household where, let me preface this with,
you probably got fruit.
we would get a basket, very small basket. My parents would hide it, have to find it. My mom, who's a French teacher, she would actually travel to France every other year. And there were a couple times where she was gone over Easter. On those years, my dad got my brother and I a bag of Hershey Kisses, threw them on our bed and said, there you go. You don't have to look this year. But still, as a father, there are some people that go like all buck wild for Easter. They get gifts, they get clothes, they get baskets. I'm like, man, I am not doing any of that. How do you all handle it? Brian, what do you do in the Davis house?
We actually, we go crazy for Christmas. For Easter, we go fairly small. For all of the, we kind of have a rule in our house with every holiday that once 5th grade is over, Tooth Fairy doesn't come back, Santa doesn't come back, Easter Bunny doesn't come back. We have that. We have a contract with the holiday, the holiday characters not to come back at that point, and it's understood. And so will be the last holiday. My wife looked at me today and said, "We have nothing going on, and somebody expects a basket." So we still do a small basket. We don't go crazy.
Dave?
Brian Anthony Davis. I was in college and I still had Santa. It was the Christmas before I got married and I still had Santa.
Oh no.
And
this is, I agree. This is my wife's side of the
something that we did. Yeah, I know. But
no,
honestly,
I had them in college too.
When I was
handwriting.
Yeah. When I was a kid, we always got, baskets. The baskets were always just sitting there. But we always got up at like 5 o'clock in the morning to go to sunrise service. So you could look at the basket, but you couldn't touch it. And all that stuff. But it was just tons of candy. And see, with my kids, we just don't do as much candy as we should. Like they still have Halloween candy because they only have a little bit of it at a time. So we don't need more candy. So that's what my wife, we get a couple smaller gifts is what we do for our kids. That's what they get. Like a few years ago, we did the big one. That's when the kids found out that in 6 days they were leaving for Disney World. You know, we did one of those one time.
Yeah,
but
that's cool.
But they'll get like, they'll have some plastic eggs that they find that have some like Hershey Kisses or some Reese cups, just a couple of them. Other than that, I think the kids get like a book and a movie and maybe one other thing. And
yeah, we go small.
Something fun. Yeah. How about at the Hartman household?
Shoot, man, we don't have anything. Like we've already told our kids, like, yeah, the Easter Bunny is not real. So like, that's
Easter Bunny is Corona. You know, he's not Corona. Sorry, kids.
You're gonna lose some viewers there, Brian.
Hey.
Don't joke about that.
Let's quarters into plastic eggs. Yep, I can do that.
We don't have any eggs. Like that's the thing. Like we don't even have. Well, I don't know. We used to dye eggs and stuff. I'm not into all that. Okay,
I can't stand doing that.
Yeah, okay.
I despise it.
Yeah.
One quick comment before we
sure go for it.
I got to throw this out. So I jumped into it on Saturday, and we talked about what kind of shows we're watching during the quarantine and what's coming up. And I jumped into the phenomenon head first.
Oh, geez.
And color me a fan of the Tiger King. Greatest train wreck I ever watched.
I've been watching.
It's funny when I heard people talk about that show. I'm like, I don't know. I said, I'm not watching that. That sounds like a show Bad would watch.
Oh,
that's literally the first thing I thought about when I heard about it the first time.
It is absolutely incredible. And it's a documentary, and that there's people like this out there, and it's not what you think. It goes into like a murder plot or a murder for hire plot, and it's fantastic.
And it's such a phenomenon that yesterday during the presidential briefing on the coronavirus, he was asked about pardoning, but whatever it is, name
Joe Exotic, which I'm changing my name to Bad Exotic, because of that. But it's 7 episodes. I just absolutely see. There you go. Kathy's into it. Kathy knows. It's if it wasn't for the quarantine, not a lot of people would watch this show. Nobody would know about it. But talk about great timing. I mean, the best timing to have this come out when people are looking for something.
I don't know, but we started watching Schitt's Creek, which is really funny.
Very funny show.
It's a really funny show. Like my wife is like, "Have you heard anything about that?" It started off slow. Like we're starting from episode 1. We're in season 2, and it started off real slow. But man, the Levy family is hysterical. They are hysterical because it's a family affair with that show. It's tremendous. So,
my kid started watching Everybody Hates Chris this week, and I sat down and watching it with him.
That's a good show,
and that's a fun show. You've got Chris Rock narrating, and anything Terry Crews is in.
Yes,
I love.
He's a giant.
Tell you what, you know what our big thing has been. Fantastic reality show that's been on. Season finale next week. My kids are super into it. Lego Masters. It's been wonderful on Fox.
It's on our DVR. My son likes to watch it. I'll watch it with him every now and then. We haven't watched a lot of TV during quarantine, so we've been outside more now than we have ever.
Yeah,
outside playing. Not trust me. We're still social distancing. People, don't freak out on us.
The Hartmans are looting the mall.
Right.
Don't call the police. Don't call Governor Hogan with his black mask on. All right, and with that, we're gonna. With that wraps up the after party. Thanks for sticking with us. We hope that you all stay safe, stay strong, and make sure you check us out next week. Another Steelers preview, the after party, guys. Good show. We'll see you next time.